I keep stopping the recording instead of unpausing it, and I know it's because it's late. This is, I mean, this is my own fault because I always record at night. But it's late, it's friggin' hot, it's humid and musky everywhere, it's just, you can like feel the air, you know? That's how hot it is, you can like feel it. But yeah. It's, like you can like feel how like the air feels like heavy. It's not good. And I have a fan on as well, although it's mostly blocked by my chair, so it's like the wind is kind of coming around my chair to my legs. Pretty much my legs are the only thing that is remotely cool. Anyway, look at our fucking score, 666. That's a, well, for one it's the devil, but for two, that's a really good score. So our etiquette went up by a lot there. Alright, are we doing anything on the 31st? Yes, we are. There's a check. Lady Rosencruz. Frowning at the interruption in the middle of my work, I look up. Starla has entered my study and is standing before me, hands clasped demurely in front. Good morning, Starla. What is it? Do you have a fucking request? The Lord Regent is without. He wishes to see you on a matter of considerable importance. I see. Show him in, please. Right away, Lady Rosencruz. She bows and slips as quietly out of the room as she came in. I lean back against the chair, the beginning of a frown creasing my brows. What on earth can it be about? Your Grace, Lady Rosencruz. I rise from my seat as the Lord Regent, his face a little more lined than when we first met at the ball, but still as uptight and kind as ever, enters the room. My lord, how may I be of service? Please, please, sit down, I will be just a moment. Starla, may we take some tea? Certainly, Your Grace. With another graceful bow, she withdraws from the room, closing the door silently behind her. Now the Lord Regent and I are alone. Our eyes meet, and he smiles. Let's sit down. I'm already sitting, bro. We do. From the outside drift the faint chimes of chinaware clinking as Starla prepares tea. I have never been in this room before. You have made it into a very nice study. Thank you, Your Grace. May I be so bold as to ask what brings you here? When you have instructions, you usually convey them to me by Raphael. The Lord Regent laughs softly. Direct as ever, young Rosencruz. No wonder you do not get along with some of our nobility. Does this have something to do with them again? No, not this time. Not ours, and not directly. My lord? The matter which I have come to see you about is somewhat delicate. It concerns the kingdom's relationship with Marin. Negotiations with the ambassadors from Marin, as I understand, are going well? The ambassadors are pleased with the reception we have arranged for them. Just so, and yet, do you know the dictum, a nation can have neither eternal friends nor perpetual enemies, only eternal and perpetual interest? I begin to see. Of course, it is in Eskia's interest to keep its interests aligned with Marin's, especially during this time of troubles. Marin can be a very useful friend or a very dangerous enemy to us. They are, from a military standpoint, from a military point of view, considerably our superior, and in terms of population, they outnumber us 3-1. I'm just going to tangent for a minute. I have a problem with me being a writer. I have a 50k word fan fiction that's not finished yet up on Archive of Our Own. I'm a writer. No, but I've like written and roleplayed my like whole life. Not my whole life, that's stupid. Since I was like 15. And like anyone else who got their role-playing like origin story started in WoW, holla. But yeah, the problem I have is I read something and I'm reading it, and I am somehow like I'm reading it, and sometimes I do this thing where sometimes I will read too fast and I'll get the words jumbled up, or sometimes I will read and my mind will try to like place the word that's next before I've even read it. So what happened just then was what I did. I tried to write the sentence myself in my head before I actually read it. It's stupid. I'm probably not the only person who does that though. We must remember the relationship between our two kingdoms have not always been smooth. Does Marin have an interest it wishes Eskia to advance? The Regent chuckles. You put it so boldly. Our diplomats would be quite disconcerted. The fact is this. Last evening, after we were about to conclude a formal treaty of mutual tariff reduction, the formidable Lady Gabrielle suddenly confided in me in terms of strictest confidentiality. At this point, the regent clamps his mouth shut. Sala pushes a tray in and begins bustling around us, setting up teacups and sandwiches. Soon, the aromatic fragrance of freshly brewed tea leaves suffuses the air. Thank you, Sala. You may leave now. Thank you, Lady Rosencruz. Not until Sala's faint footfalls fade away does the regent speak again. In terms of strictest confidentiality, so not even Sala or Raphael shall know of this. I understand, my lord. Good, you have heard of the Sval? But who hasn't? The pirates of the uttermost north. Even we have a hard time extending our reach over them. I chuckle at the memory of the legends I used to read as a child, of the Sphalic sea kings, their fantastical explorations and gory duels. Then I remember the subject of the conversation. The Sval are involved in Eskia? As I said, not directly. According to Lady Gabrielle, the King of Marin remains committed to stamping out slavery within his kingdom. However, before this generation, I believe Marin also participated in dealing with thralls? Yes. It wasn't until the current king was crowned that slavery was abolished in Marin. But what does it have to do with us? The late King of Eskia, my brother-in-law, was a determined supporter of Marin's campaign. Not out of self-interest, you understand, but as a matter of principle. I believe he hated slavery and the Sval slave traders to the core. Oh? In close coordination, the two monarchs had been able to outlaw the possession of thralls within their realms and ban slave trading. But now that the late King of Eskia is no longer here, the system is breaking down. Trade in thralls, especially in Marinian territory, is on the rise again. And a trader, one of the worst offenders in thrall trafficking, will take the sea route with a cargo full of slaves around the Eskian coast. How do you know of this? I do not. Lady Gabrielle would not reveal to me the sources of her intelligence, but she assures me they are perfectly credible. To where is this thrall master bound? To the capital of Marin. After they arrive, there is nothing much we can do. The fortresses may not be entered unbidden, not even by the king himself. Their capital is reached more easily from our ports by the sea than the mountains, which are tall, inhospitable, and closely guarded by the king's men. But would not tall, inhospitable mountains offer the ideal refuge? Hard-to-reach hiding places, networks of smugglers and bandits ready to lend a hand. Our thrall master cannot. His merchandise, you see, are too delicate. They cannot make the rough mountain crossing. They will break. A horrible thought is dawning upon me. You mean... Yes, his thralls are all children. The regent looks sadly away, and I shudder. So you want me to catch him? Yes. Hand him back to the Marinians. Lady Gabrielle stressed to me how very obliged they would be to us if we do. Pardon me, but why wouldn't the princes take over this task? Their father was obviously a major contributor to this campaign. I would have assumed them to be the same. The Lord Regent pauses. Sipping his tea, he considers for a while before sighing and speaking up again. It's not that they don't want to. However, recent events have made our political situation more uncertain. Recent events? Do you perhaps mean the royal hunt a few weeks ago? The Lord Regent nods. Seren told me you were aware of what really happened. We do not believe the stray arrow aimed at him to be from Councillor Gabrielle. However, you still haven't found the real culprit. Regrettably so. Aurelius is personally leading the investigation. Even Seren is trying to find clues among the group of commoners present that day, but there hasn't been any progress so far. I should have known there were more reasons to Seren's unusual escapade. Now I see. You are not sure if the information about the slave trader may be a trap laid by Marin. Again, you put it so badly, but to be frank, yes. If you were to send out the princes against Sval Thrallmaster, it would be a declaration of hostility by the Eskian crown against the Sval. The Lord Regent nods. If it were to come to a war, not only would we be pressured by Marin from the south, but also by Sval from the north. So we cannot send the royal family forward. Whereas I, as a representative of the High Council, which as everyone knows, follows its own policies, I am less of a diplomatic liability, correct? I am truly sorry, young Rosencruz. I wouldn't ask you to place yourself in danger if we truly had another choice. I understand. Then, will you do it? I hesitate while the regent watches me keenly. His expression gives me the shadow of a feeling that more is riding on my reply than he let on. Still, I hesitate. To intercept, fight, and capture a Sval Thrallmaster and his longship is no mean undertaking. The Svals are by reputation tall, strong, bloodthirsty, and cunning. They regard death in battle as the only certain route to paradise and are consequently never reluctant to seek it. I am an alchemist and a tutor, not a war mage, much less a warrior. My arts are fundamentally the arts of peace and progress, not battle and destruction. Surviving the encounters with the assassins might have taught me a little of combat, but I know I am far from experienced with them. Unlike the Thrallmaster I am being asked to capture, who has probably spent his adult life sailing, killing, plundering, and raiding. If something goes wrong, he might kill me. Worse, he might break me and turn me into one of his thralls. But I think of the captive children who may not be freed if the traitor gets away with this. I think of my charges, the young princes forced into their father's footsteps, forced into living up to his reputation. And I think of Seren, who, even in moments his life is in immediate danger, continuously tries to protect his subjects and keep peace. I slowly breathe out. I'll do it. You will? The Lord Regent's face is a picture of undisguised relief. That's excellent, excellent. Thank you, really. Eskia is in your debt. I will need some time to prepare myself, a week or so, I should think. When will the Thrallmaster be sailing past Eskia? Also in a week. Lady Gabrielle, or rather her agents through her, will alert us when the Sval longship is approaching. Good. For better or for worse, I have agreed to the Lord Regent's request. It's too late to worry about what might happen now. The only thing to do is prepare for it. Then I shall have my week to prepare? Of course, if you need any help from any of us, you need only say so. There is indeed something. Speak. If it is within my ability, I will grant it. I am aware that the High Council's garrison guards are busy investigating the late King's assassination. However, they might not help me. The garrison here doesn't like me to begin with. However, this is too important for me to not ask them just because of my pride. May I borrow them for this undertaking? Of course. You are most kind. Thank you. Would this be all? Yes, I mustn't take up more of your time. The Lord Regent stands up, and so do I. We shake hands. Valkii? My lord? You are a good child. I'm glad you're the one the council sent to us. He turns around and walks out of my study, a little greyer, a little more lined, but as upright and kind as ever. Even though I am filled with trepidation of the expedition against a Sval Thrallmaster, I cannot quite control an insensible smile from spreading over my lips. Now to my preparations. I have been working on this recipe for a while. It's time to test it out. Cool. What is it? Oh, here. Nobody can make it. No one can make it. No one can make it. Well, that's annoying. I'm sure it'll be fine. Sadly, they did the thing again where they only give us 1 week to try and do something. How's me etiquette going? What is my etiquette? Oh, 62. I think it's fine. We'll just keep doing this. You keep doing fire. You keep doing wood just for a little bit longer. Only a little bit longer. So for some reason it's your best fucking affinity now. But okay. You have enough of that now, so do water. You're almost done with... You can almost make that cloth. I don't know why we'd need it, but yeah. There's so many missions. But yeah, I can't. I can't risk it right now. I just can't. We have over 30 weeks left. If they are still there, I will do them later when I feel like I've got all my stuff up. Well, mostly, I feel like mostly I'm doing this for these guys. So, we need to get ready to save Scum, obviously. Let me bring up this again. Okay. I did save it, right? Yeah, I did. Okay, start. 6, 3, 2, definitely not. start? 6? 5? 2. I'm sorry, but a 2 is just not good enough. 4. 4. 2. Alright, well, you know how it goes. Pause. And I will make sure to actually unpause this time, so yeah. Okay. See, I unpaused it this time. That's as good as I'm gonna get. I'm just... bleh. Based on the intelligence provided by Lady Gabrielle, the slave dealer should be crossing the Isthmus by land rather than boat. All the same, that's our man. The rider clopping down the winding trail looks vile enough, with his bushy russet beard and fierce grey eyes. His build is muscular but lean rather than heavy. The build of a predator who lived lean and eats only what he kills. And his friends, all of his friends, flanking him and riding ahead are about a dozen mercenaries, Marinian or local Eskians by the look of their tan and builds. Rolling behind, guarded closely by 2 mercenaries, is a huge covered caravan. The picture I am confronted with is exactly like a legitimate trader. I would have been fooled if I hadn't been warned beforehand about the human contents of that ghastly caravan. Bold of him. To hide himself in the open, pretending to be just another prosperous merchant peddling his wares by sea. No one who sees this will suspect him of anything as shady as slave trading. Careful, too. Traveling incognito means he would have to cut back on escorts and guards, making himself vulnerable to ambush. This way, however, he can employ all the mercenaries to guard him as he wishes. They might not even know what is inside that huge covered caravan. How in the world am I supposed to ambush all this by myself? I am alone, of course. Although I have asked humbly, the stationed garrison guards refuse to take direct action without the council's order. Admittedly, I am acting out of my own accord, since of course there was no time for a proper correspondence to get my superior's permission. At the very least, the captain of the garrison imparted some knowledge with me before my departure. My hard work here in Eskia must have convinced them to see me in a more positive light. Imparted theoretical knowledge. He told me about the different ways of ambush should I need them. Now I am here facing down the slave trader and his guards. Nothing to do with Eskia. Nothing that will draw the ire of the Sval pirates on the kingdom in its moment of vulnerability. An agent of the High Council on an assignment by the High Council is the impression this operation must give to the Sval. Needless to say, neither the Regent nor I could have expected the slave dealer to travel with such a strong escort of mercenaries. I don't have time to get help. He'll reach the borders by tonight, and then there's not a chance I can catch him in Marinian territory. Which means I'll have to take him down here and now. But how? My brows crease as I carefully review the options I have. I mean, lay traps. The caravan trails the main body of mercenaries by quite some distance. This is unsurprising since the mercenaries are all mounted men in their prime. While the caravan, bulky enough in its own right, is pulled by a few bad-tempered mules hired just for this journey. The solution is clear. I will plant the bombs I have in my backpack along the trail ahead of them. With a bit of luck and a lot of precision, I should be able to detonate the bombs ahead of the caravan. That should incapacitate enough of the guards without harming the children. Then I simply have to finish off the remainder of the guards and set the children free. Easy as pie. My voice does not sound even a little bit convincing to me. But there is no help for it. I shall have to do or die. Whatever happens, I must not let that abominable slave trader get away. Better hurry then. I spied a bend of the road around a forested hillock that I fancy would be just the spot to plant the bombs. Okay, done. The bombs have been planted in little rows under the undergrowth lining the road. The caravan should face some difficulties navigating the sharp bends of the road around the hillock. This makes for the perfect location to detonate the bombs and wipe out the main body of the escort travelling ahead. If all goes to plan, that is. Clip-clop, clip-clop. The sound of shod hooves striking the hard road, the rough speech and rougher laughter of the mercenaries drift to me on the breeze. Quietly, I withdraw into the forest and wait. Soon, the Sval and his guards come into sight. They are arguing with each other, roaring boisterously. Not a shadow of suspicion something is amiss. Good, it seems I have placed them well. I strike a little flare and send it sizzling down the length of rope to where the bombs are buried. Herg! The Sval trader suddenly draws back, his horse rearing up. Its hoof must have struck one of the bombs. What is this? He glares about him in furious surprise. Bombs! Men, we have been ambushed. At his words, the mercenaries scatter into a loose formation, taking cover wherever they can. One by one, the bombs detonate, rocking the ground and throwing up piles of earth as fire erupts from the ground. The caravan, which is just rounding the corner, stops abruptly. Unfortunately, the bombs are not close enough to damage the two mercenaries guarding it, leaving them alert and unharmed. But the bombs have done their job. Now it is time to do mine. Let's go! The flower markings around my neck flare and burn as I emerge from my hiding place, taking on the surviving mercenaries. Sorry, there's a little kitten. Come here. I draw on the wind, using it to send a stream of fire cruising towards them. They react immediately, erecting a shield of ice that block away the fire. Magic users. Startled temporarily, I let my guard down, only to be almost knocked off my horse by a blast of air. Strong ones too, to boot. Kill them, avenge your fallen comrades. The Sval slave trader had made it through the explosions alive, singed but otherwise unhurt thanks to his presence of mind. Aware that he rides at the head of the vanguard, the Sval had kept his wits together. He galloped straight forward, betting correctly there should be no bombs in front of him. I lunged towards him, but the surviving mercenaries swiftly placed themselves between us. Ho ho, you must get past them first. The Sval cries mockingly as he rides away, leaving his grim-faced guards facing me. Though I am confident I can take on these two on and win, by the time I defeat them, the Sval would have gotten too far away for me to catch. Curses. A violent blast of air slams into me and knocks me onto the ground. Ow. The fall knocks the wind out of my lungs. For a second or two, the world disappears behind a swarm of grainy stars. Blind and gasping for breath, I struggle back onto my feet, blinking frantically to try clearing away the dots from my sight. I do so just in time to see and dodge multiple wickedly sharp shards of ice flying in my direction. So I'm just checking on this cat. Alright, she's going back under the bed. They impale deep into the ground where I had been a heartbeat ago. Another incoming. I conjure up a small vortex of flame in front of me, melting the ice into harmless steam and water. But even then, two spellcasters are inching forward, their eyes fierce and predatory. It is obvious they are war mages, trained in battle magic and veterans of many fights. Against them, someone whose powers of magic are inclined more to the academic side like myself can only expect a hard and desperate fight. I nerve myself for the duel, trying to think of the best counterspell to throw. Then, in an instant, unearthly light shines on the ground underneath me. A large glowing circle forms, enclosing the two mercenaries and I within its circumference. Dragon's breath. A quiet voice calls somewhere from the shadows. Recollection hits me like a hammer blow. I know who the voice belongs to. More importantly, I remember what the glowing circle does. Without a moment of hesitation, I leap out of the boundary of light. Just in time. Is it Seren? Is it Seren? Oh! Roiling smoke rises from the ground, twisting around the mercenaries, making them choke and pant for air. I observe them keenly, knowing the symptoms too well. One of them, probably the stronger one, tries to cast something to dispel the magic, but to no avail. His comrade now joins in, but he too finds his magic failing him. Everyone inside the circle of Dragon's Breath have their magical powers sealed. A most useful piece of magic, though also most unorthodox. Deviant, in fact, in nature. Okay, so it's not Seren? What? Okay. Smirking in triumph, I summon up the strongest gust of wind I can and direct them at the haplessly flailing mercenaries. It slams them to the ground, knocking them unconscious. Soon, their twitching bodies subside and become motionless. They are not dead, but they should be hurting for quite a long while. Something they richly deserve. Well done. Maybe it's Gabrielle. I hear soft footsteps padding up to my back and turn around, a broad grin on my face. Oh, Neri. Who the fuck is that? Calm eyes look back at me and a slow, familiar voice drawls. Hello, Valkii. What are you doing here? Neri smiles gently for once. Shall we take care of the children first? Once back in the palace, Neri and I delivered the captive children of the slaver to the Lord Regent, who thanked both of us for the help and promised to take care of them. Afterwards, we head up to my study. Thanks for helping me out there, I say as I stir my cup of tea, knowing Neri too well to expect a gracious reply. The High Council sent me, so I would have to deal with that traitor anyway. I laugh, remembering with pleasure the old grumpy, tender-hearted Neri. What's so funny? It makes me think of back when we were kids. Does it? Yes, you were always getting me out of trouble. Afterwards, you would invent beautifully implausible reasons why you didn't actually do anything to help me. Not really. It was the truth. I'm older, so I was responsible for you, not helping you. My babysitter. Neri's lips twitch ever very slightly and become a straight line again. I wouldn't go that far. I would. I take an appreciative sip of tea, closing my eyes in pleasure at its delicate fragrance. What brings you to this little corner of the world? What are you doing? This cat is dumb. Bounty hunting. Who's the quarry? Yours. That's Val. Is that so? Mm-hmm. Under the order of the High Council. What else? Why does the Council want that Sval? Not him particularly, but he has something they want. One of the captive children, then. Yes. I lean forward, starting to feel perturbed. Look, Neri, you'd better tell me the whole story. A mere slave trader should not be enough for them to dispatch such a high-ranking member like you, a garrison executive. If the council has an interest in Eskia beyond the mission they've assigned to me, and that mission is guarding the royal succession, I think it's better I know about it. You just haven't asked the right questions. Why does the council want a captive child of the slaver, Neri? Because he may be Rosencruz. I bolt upright. Neri looks at me and silently nods. Confirmed? No, rumors of petal markings about the neck. The Sval thought it made the child pretty and made a point of showing it off, hopes to drive up the price. I run a finger around my own birthmarks, which have begun prickling uneasily. He doesn't know the significance of those markings. No, he wouldn't show them off if he recognized them. But someone else might. The council fears someone does already. They want the slaver silenced one way or another, and the child in their custody. The slaver got away, but at least all the children. My voice trails off when Neri sadly shakes his head. Not all of them. You didn't find the child? Not in this shipment. The Sval has too. Curse it. Neri smiles and pats my hand. So what are we going to do? You are going to guard the royal succession. I am going after the Sval for the second shipment. If you need any help... I have my job, you have yours. All the same, we work well together, don't we? Your family and mine, of course, we have a long history. No, I mean you and me. We have a long history too. The very faintest blush colours Neri's cheek. I always do my job, and you always do yours, that's all. Then why do you always appear to help me out when I need it most? It's my mission. It's not like I'm concerned for you. Alright, Sundere. Right, you're not. Despite myself, a flicker of something must have shown on my face because Neri, after he stands up, adds a little haltingly. Although my family wants me to tell you, every one of us, Divaris, will always stand behind you. What are you doing, kitten? Knowing from experience that's the most I can draw from him at one sitting, I stand up. Shake hands? Gladly. We clasp hands and gaze into each other's eyes for a moment. That moment conveyed more than 1,000,000 words, especially with Neri, ever could hope to. I feel almost overwhelmed knowing I have someone backing me up, someone who knows about the secret of the Rosencruz, someone I don't have to guard against. Then, without a backward glance, Neri turns around and strides out of the room. Achievement unlocked. New Grimoire character unlocked. Neri fell. Sorry, kitten. Here you go. I'm going to... No. What is this cat doing? You want to leave or something? Well, that should be everything I have to cover on this subject. Do you have any questions for me? Any parts you would like me to... Stop. Any parts you would like me to go over once more? I peer at my audience, the 3 princes sitting in front of me. Prince Aurelius simply stares at my desk as if trying to burn a hole into it, while Prince Seren gives a slight shake of his head and a polite smile. Prince Nazir, meanwhile, shrugs and shoots me a buoyant grin. I'm inclined to believe it means he completely, unequivocally understands everything I've said so far, instead of the usual polite but distracted meaning. Wonderful, let's move on then. If you would please turn to page 300 of your books. The sound of flipping pages fills the room. With the prince's focus elsewhere, I take the opportunity to discreetly brush my palm against my arm in an attempt to soothe the itch, but it's useless. I mentally berate myself again for failing to notice the injury until late yesterday evening. While I managed to get it under control with whatever healing salves I had on hand, the delay in treatment has caused it to worsen. Now, the prickling sensation is really starting to bother me. I rub my arm again, a bit more vigorously this time, but try resisting the urge to scratch it in case it makes things worse. Valkii. Snapping to attention, I immediately let my arms fall to my sides and look at Prince Saren. Yes, Your Highness? Do you have a question? There's a small crease between his brows. His gaze darts to my left arm, but quickly returns to mine. Is everything alright? I open my mouth to say I'm fine, but I quickly realize Prince Saren would be able to see right through that, either because of his light magic or because it's obvious I'm not. The most I can do is give him a reassuring smile and hope he drops the subject. Sure enough, however, he doesn't. I don't want to pry, but if you're not feeling well, perhaps you should see Sala. She's well versed in water magic and should be able to help. No, it's nothing that pressing. Thank you for your concern, though. Oh, you're feeling unwell, Valkii. Maybe you should get it looked at. Right this second, in fact. Your Highness, are you saying that out of concern for my well-being, or because you want the lesson to come to an early end? He grins at me without a hint of shame. Both? The corners of Prince Saren's lips twitch upwards, but when he turns his attention back to me, his eyes are serious and piercing. I insist, Valkii, the lesson can wait for another day. I stare back at Saren, noting the thinly veiled worry written across his face. I can't help but soften at the sight, and I sigh. I have to admit, I'm somewhat relieved at the idea of being able to rest sooner rather than later. I still haven't fully recovered from all of yesterday's excitement. Very well, I'll look for Sala. Thank you, Valkii. No, I should be the one thanking you. In any case, class is dismissed for the day. I'll see you tomorrow. I smile at the princess before gathering my books and leaving the room. Before I can go look for Sala, however, Saren stops me in the corridor. Valkii. Your Highness? I just wanted to apologize to you. If it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have to place yourself in danger and get hurt like that. Not at all. We both know you couldn't have confronted the Sval due to political reasons, and I was the one who agreed to help. Besides, it's nothing serious. Prince Saren's face is filled with genuine concern and sorrow, but he doesn't pursue the topic. I give him my most reassuring smile and nod. Even with my reassurances, he insistently leads me off to find Sala, personally making sure I get immediate treatment. Bless his little fucking heart. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.